everyone. My name is Patricia Lozano, founder and managing editor of Waterbury Press. I thank you so much for tuning in and welcome to another virtual meet and greet. I'm thrilled to meet Theresa Halvorsen today, and she's the author of a sci-fi novel entitled Warehouse Dreams. I want us to welcome her without further ado and hear directly from her about this dystopian romance of hers and her plans for the wonderful characters she has created. Bear with me for a couple seconds while I bring her in. Here we go. Hello.
Hi.
We are. Hi, Theresa. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm so happy to have you over today, and I want to thank you so much for sharing Warehouse Dreams with us. I thank you for agreeing to do this interview and for supporting our efforts at Waterbury Press. From your bio at our feature lit page, I know that you're a Southern California girl.
Mm-hmm.
And so I figure we'll start from there and you can tell us if the San Diego area has always been home, and how your life and work there contributed to your love of writing and to Warehouse Dreams, possibly. So.
Okay. All right. So I've been living in the San Diego area. I live in Temecula, and I've been living here for about 9 years now. Before that, I was from Northern California, so grew up in Sacramento. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So we would have been neighbors because I was in Southern California, from Southern California originally, and now 40 minutes from Sacramento.
Oh, wow. Where are you at in Sacramento?
In Solano County in Fairfield.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. That's actually funny because going off on tangents here, but my next book, River City Widows, which is coming out in April, is actually set in Sacramento.
Widows?
River City Widows. Yep, plural.
Oh my goodness. That makes me think of the Jane Austen book club.
Yes.
The lady
yeah.
who wrote that book is from Sacramento, or no, she's from Santa Cruz. And she used to live in Sacramento, and so all the ladies in that book are or the story happens in Sacramento.
In Sacramento. Yeah. Yeah. Sacramento is one of those towns. People kind of forget about it. Everyone's focusing on San Diego and LA, but there's a lot to it's a wonderful setting for books.
Well, I mean, we ventured into Sacramento a handful of times before the pandemic hit, right? But that historic downtown, oh my goodness, it's just beautiful with the river right there. And there's this old boat sitting there that has been converted into like a
restaurant,
and hotel. I think that they actually rent you can spend the weekend in the little tiny cabins, and I thought it was beautiful. I mean, it's just such a clean town, and I don't know, I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And, River City Widows is set in East Sacramento, which is one of the older neighborhoods. And so the fact that the house, it's a paranormal romance. So, there's some ghostly stuff involved in that one. And so the fact that the house was built in the 1940s really plays into that. So it's a fun one. I like that one.
That sounds spectacular. I can't wait to read it. How far along are you with it?
Almost done. So we're expecting to launch in April. So, doing final edits, getting it up and ready, doing the final marketing, final cover plans, everything else. So I'll do a cover reveal kind of mid-March, but it's really, really cool. I'm really excited by how it looks.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited about it too. I love the paranormal, it's like all the stuff that I write is all in the supernatural vein with the ghosts and the fairies and the, all that kind of stuff. But okay, so back to San Diego and what you do there and how that, like I said, contributed to your love of writing.
So Honestly, I've always wanted to be a writer. I think like most children, especially ones that read a lot, they, you start making up stories in your head, and then you realize you're like, oh my gosh, there's these people called writers, and they can write stories based on the stories in their head, and then people read them and give them money. Sounds fabulous,
Well, if we're lucky, no.
right? Reality is a little bit different,
Yeah.
but as a child, it sounds fabulous.
Yes.
But it was always something I kind of wanted to, it was always something that's like, okay, that's a fun hobby, but what's your job going to be? And so when we moved to this area, I got a job in leadership and healthcare, and kind of have moved to different companies and stuff there. And so that's my day job. I work in healthcare. Has it affected my writing or impacted it? Maybe a little bit. I think, one of the things about Kendall is that she is absolutely a workaholic. She is very committed to helping her students. She's very committed to helping the school she works at. And so she works these 70 and 80-hour weeks, and that I can completely relate to. Working in healthcare is a challenging field, and it's very, very time intense, time and stress intense. So, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what is Warehouse Dreams? I mean, what is the locale? Where is Kendall?
So this story is in urban Chicago, and really what it's about is it's about the elevator pitch is about the faculty at a rundown school for telekinetics and for telepaths and psychokinetics. But really what it's about a group of people called wilds who society has deemed unworthy. Society has basically said, we don't want you here, go away. To the point that they can't get jobs, they can't get loans, they're kicked out of schools. And so if you wake up as a teenager, because that's how this works, suddenly telepathic and with psychokinetic abilities, your parents could lose their jobs. You could get your family could get kicked out of your house. So, what's to happen? So there is this kind of one ray of hope in the society, and it's called Phillips Academy for the Advancement of Wilds, and which is a terrible name. So it's nicknamed The Warehouse because it's based in a series of warehouses in urban Chicago. So I really wanted to kind of bring in that urban, that industrial feel. I played around with having it in Detroit, kind of that urban industrial idea with it. So, yeah.
So you say that Kendall is a workaholic, but with you working in the healthcare industry, and the way that our healthcare is in the country, I mean, what you're describing seems to me very relatable with the way that people get dropped from insurance, what families face when they're considered to have, well, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's not as simple as pre-existing conditions or things like that, but there's so many ramifications of the way the healthcare system affects the lives of people, and if you don't happen to be that kind of, or I mean, if your problems are not as normal as colds and things like that, and you have something beyond the spectrum of, the typical healthcare need, it would seem that this is where your kids find themselves, right? And I mean, now with a lot of people talking about mental health, the same as, so, I mean, I can see you working in the healthcare industry and going off on tangents like, oh, I mean, I don't know what your, if it's an administrative position or something like that, but I know that it happens to me too. I worked in sales operations and in electronics. And I mean, a lot of times I would have, these daydreams about storage devices that, would be I don't know, we'd have like this secret information stashed in them, and thousands of customers all over the world are receiving these hard drives. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, just so, but I can see how Warehouse Dreams is a very intense and very relatable. I was going to ask you, is it something that happens in the future, or is it?
So it's parallel. So it's parallel universe. So the idea is that it's about now, just we've just added the ability to genetically change people's codes so that families, if they pay a lot of money, can choose their perfect, from their perspective, child. In addition to having the ability of telepathy and psychokinesis. And it's actually been kind of fun. I've been working on the sequel to it. And I really am digging into this idea of perfection and parental expectations, and this idea of, I paid millions of dollars for your genetic code. You will do what I want you to do because I designed you that way.
Oh my gosh.
And this idea of this, of like, who are we? Are we what we are genetically determined to be, or do we get a say in that? So, so I'm really, really having a lot of fun with that idea.
Clue me in a little bit into the time frame when you began writing Warehouse Dreams.
So I started writing. So this idea, I came up with this idea probably about 10 years ago, but it never really went anywhere. I kind of had, some scribbled notes and that type of thing. I really hardcore said, I want to be a writer. And so I'm going to do this in November of 2019.
Oh,
so,
boy.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's very recent. Your love of writing may have been innate, but you actually took strides just 2 years ago. Wow.
So about, well, now it's closer to 3 years ago. One of my most dearest friends was diagnosed with breast cancer. And she's fine, she's great. But it really was very eye-opening for me personally. I went, holy cow, we're gonna die. And it really kind of made me go, okay, what do I want? What do I want the future to look like? And if I've always wanted to do this writing thing, okay, now I want to do it. I don't want to wait until I retire. Because goodness knows when that's going to be, or what the world's going to look like at that point. So if I want to do this, I'm going to commit and I'm going to do it. And so I did.
Now I know that, and this is something that we have in common, is that we belong to the San Diego Writers and Editors Guild. And from there, I know about this, the semi-stages of the pages.
Yeah.
I mean, is that part of your effort to be serious about writing? And okay,
it is.
Stages.
So Semi-Stages of the Pages is a podcast. Our tagline is, we don't know where we're going, but we know we're on an adventure. So we're 4 spec fiction female writers. We're all at about the same level of our writing, either still querying and trying to get out there, or having only a book or 2 published. We're at about the same level in our knowledge of craft, of marketing. And so we're on this journey together of trying to figure out how we can learn how to be better writers, and how we can get our books into the hands of our fans as well. So we'll talk about just about anything. We'll talk about our most recent episode, and it was probably one of our best ones. We talked about emotion, and how to build emotion with your characters, and kind of the craft side of things with that. And it was such a wonderful episode. I learned so much from these women every single time we sit down and we talk.
So are you sort of a writing group? Do you also go through and critique each other's work, or?
We do a little bit. I think we have found as we talk that if we have knowledge about each other's work, it helps. It helps just push the conversation forward. So we will read each other's works, and we'll offer quick advice and that type of thing. I think I know Molly and Morgan, they've kind of gone and created a writing group of their own to kind of help with that.
I love your cat.
I know. I know. He's coming. He's going to drink my water.
What's his name?
This is Winchester. So
Winchester? Oh,
yeah. Boy. Yeah. Let me see if I can. He's willing to. Yep. So that's Winchester.
Hello, Winchester. How are you? He's like, no, I'm not looking.
Yeah, he's like, no, I'm mad at you.
Oh, I used to have cats and dogs when my kids were little and growing up. And now all I get is my grand puppies and grand kitty that my daughter has. They were here a few days ago because they were having their house tented for termites. Oh. So they came over with the 2 dogs and the cat, and then I get my fix. They're so sweet.
They are, but it's kind of nice to be like, all right, go away.
Yeah, like they were here for 4 days, and I'm like, I will vacuum all the hairs when they leave. In the meantime, we have our little nest going here.
Oh, so much fun.
So sweet. Well, so the other thing that I wanted to ask you with your taking steps to pursue your writing interest. I know that some people feel like writing for a living kind of takes the magic out of the process of doing it, right? And I mean, I don't know, there's all kinds of other layers of drama when it comes to that. But I'm thinking that when I write, it's because I have a story that I want to share with as many people as I can, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's where the balance comes in for me. I'm so fortunate that I have someone who supports me, and that I can devote my time 100% to that, even if I'm not making a living at it, right? But do you eventually see yourself as making a living out of writing, or in the literary world, or what are your plans?
That would be the hope, yes. Yeah. But it's hard. I mean, we live in Southern California. It's a very expensive area to live in. I have twin boys. They're 19. They're both in college. So yeah, I mean, my goal is within the next somewhere 7-8 years to hopefully be able to kind of be like, all right, we're good now. Yeah. But we'll see where life takes us. But yeah, it's hard. And, there's a lot of research that says you need 12 revenue streams, 16 revenue streams to succeed at making a living to being a writer. So I think the people who really succeed have been the ones that figure out the balance between the creative part of it, the writing part of it, and the marketing part of it. Because even if you get a traditional book deal, you're still marketing that yourself. And if you don't sell enough copies, you're not getting another book deal with that publisher.
Right.
So you got to find that balance.
Well, and I mean, this is where I'm excited about Waterbearer Press, and what we're doing here is trying to offer a different outlet, because I don't know if you have experienced it. I know that your books are available at Amazon and other large booksellers and retailers. So are mine. But when you're an independent, I mean, you don't have that muscle that comes from the big dollar campaign effort. And that's why I was thinking, okay, at Waterbearer Press, I want to offer an outlet that gives authors more bang for their books sold. Because what I want to do here is, when you sell your books here, you're eliminating that massive discount that booksellers, I mean, if you're publishing your books through, like, say, someone like an Ingram Spark, you can't do, but you can't go under 55% discount to the booksellers, like whether it's Amazon or Barnes and Noble or anybody. And it's like, oh my goodness. So that's why I'm thinking it's like, eventually I will be hopefully publishing other authors under the Waterbury Press imprint. But right now, if you're an author and you have your author copies on hand, which you can buy your author copies at cost, basically, right? From whoever your publisher is. You sell them through Waterbury Press, and I'm not asking for a 55% cut. You know what I mean? I get an administrative cut, and then you get your 70% from selling that book, which is a bigger profit. So I'm excited about the marketing plans that I have for Waterbury Press, because I'm thinking it's like, and this is part of the pandemic talking through me, because it's like so many businesses, small businesses are going under because they can't get people. I mean, they're not allowed to have people in their little shops and things like that. And I'm thinking, for independents, it's all about the online, the e-commerce. And I'm thinking this is how we need to be able to make it in a way that we're competing with the big, Goliaths out there like Amazon. And I know that it's crazy to think it, but there's a lot of people out there who are willing to support small businesses. And I'm thinking, if I can have book signings every day, because that's what happens at Waterbury Press, right? It's like someone orders your book, then you're going to get notified of that sale, and you're going to say, oh, Charlie wants me to sign this book for him. I'm going to sign it. You know what I mean? And here you go. And you're going to ship out your book like as if you were at a book conference. You know what I mean? Or at a store in a book signing event. But like I said, I have marketing efforts underway to promote the store, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to generate income that will be more significant than the royalties you get. I mean, because I know what my royalties look like from Amazon, or
right.
You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. So I'm excited about titles like yours, and I hope that you'll want to share the Widow's book, because that sounds absolutely fantastic when it comes out. Now I had another, and we've kind of touched a little bit about it, but when you started on this road, this very uphill road, what was one of the more disappointing things, like besides the marketing, and how did you overcome it?
I would probably say the more disappointing, it's kind of the marketing, kind of that realization,
right?
That
like, oh my gosh,
yeah, of how much work it is, but then also how vague it is. Because what works for one author may not work for you, but you have to try it, and you may not execute it very well. So then, did it just not work for you, or did you execute it poorly? The amount of time and energy that goes into, all right, this idea of like, I'm just going to throw spaghetti on the wall and hope that some of it sticks, which can be such a huge waste of time, but then also taking the time to kind of be like, all right, the spaghetti way didn't work, so let me learn another way, and then taking the time and energy to learn that, and then finding out, nope, that didn't work either. I think that's probably been the most, not disappointing, because marketing's fun in its own way, but trying to figure out like, okay, how much time do I spend on marketing, knowing that takes time away from my writing? That's probably been the most, I would say that's the most disappointing part, is that I don't have time to do as much writing as I would like.
do you feel, as far as overcoming that, do you feel that you're still kind of in the learning curve going this way? Because um, I don't know that I can offer much encouragement, because I've been at it since 2016 full time.
Mm-hmm.
And I started out hiring marketing people. And I think that for the several months that I was working with a PR agency, it was while I was busy writing my next book, and it was their job to help me promote and gear toward the launch of that book. So, I mean, they started my first Twitter account, and they, got me on Instagram. I already had a Facebook author account, but, I learned a great deal, and, from them, from the things that they were having me do. And I think that when I stopped working with them and I just kind of settled into, okay, I'm going to be able to handle this on my own, there was a great deal of resentment there for all the time and effort that I needed to put into that instead of writing.
Yeah.
But so that was in 2020, at the end of 2017, I had taken the reins of my marketing, and I was no longer paying for PR or for a marketing group. And what I have learned, and I can't tell you whether or not it works, but what I have learned is that I need to do what works for me, mm-hmm. to make the time that I need for writing, right? So for instance, I was told that I need to put a calendar together, and I need to post different content every day, and I need to follow up. And they tell you this like it's something that you can do in 10 minutes and then be done with it, right?
Right.
But to try to come up with content on a daily basis, or to post on this platform, it's just crazy. And I've been burning that candle at both ends, mm-hmm. trying to get some writing done, but at the same time, keeping up the social media. And I think that this year I've been, and granted, we're only in February, right? But I'm focusing my energy on Waterbury Press and the publication that I have scheduled for this year. And I've cut down. It's like I used to post every day on all 6 of my platforms, mm-hmm. right? And now it's like, okay, no, Monday, Wednesday, Friday for my author stuff, Tuesday, Thursday for my Waterbury Press thing. I'm going to try to get the marketing campaign tailored for what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to kind of be on autopilot, because 5 days a week is a lot easier to manage when it comes to social media. If I'm not doing, 5 times 6, it's 30 different posts that I needed to come up with. And it's like, no, that's just not gonna happen. And they tell you your content needs to be different for this social, for this versus that. And it's like, yeah, no.
Well, especially because once you post it, that's not the end of it. You have to then interact.
You have to interact, right? So I'm thinking that, like I said, I might spend 6 hours putting a calendar together for February, let's say. Mm-hmm. And then I schedule those. Mm-hmm. And then that's when I can go maybe 1 hour a day and interact with people and look at what other people are posting and stuff like that. But I've just stopped analyzing mm-hmm. the data. You know what I mean? Because they tell you want to interact with people, you want to do this, you want to do that, you want to see who's responded and then retarget it. And I'm like, no, I one of these days I might have someone who just does nothing but handle my social media. But then even that is tough, because when I've had people do that, then they fall into all those pitfalls of, you got to build your audience. And so then you go and you follow all these people and then unfollow them. And it's like, no, I hate that practice, you know, whether it's on Twitter or Instagram. And I used to have this social media expert doing that, you know what I mean? And I'd have people contact me and complain, you unfollowed me. And I'm like, it wasn't me, you're fired. But yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. And like I said, to overcome my frustration, it's like, that's what I did. It's like, okay, so the experts are saying, this is what you need to do. And I'm saying, I'm going to do what works for me.
Yes.
And if that means that I'm getting, 10% reaction versus 30% reaction the other route, then it's like, so be it. It'll be a more organic, slower growth, but it's what I can do,
Exactly. Exactly. You got to do what works for you. And the other piece of this too is that, all these experts, are like, you have to do this, you have to do this. I'm starting to learn, they have an idea. They don't know for sure, because there are people that break those rules all the time and have no problems whatsoever. And there are people who follow, every single rule, and they don't get it. They don't accomplish anything.
They don't accomplish anything. I mean, I don't know. I go from, lighting candles and doing, hoodoo voodoo kind of stuff, to reading, devouring all these marketing materials and going through blog posts telling you. And I mean, I sometimes have to smack myself, and it's like, part of the reason I became an independent was because I didn't want to pander necessarily. You know what I mean? It's like, I want to write a compelling story. I want to, but I even in the writing process, there's so many rules that you're told that you have to follow. And it's like, again, working with experts, right? I mean, there was this PR agency that, said that they wanted to look at one of my books for a screenplay.
Oh, wow.
But I mean, that's their business, right? So, so they were not really in awe of my story. It's like, oh, look, this is an independent author who will probably pay us money to change their book to a script. So that was their business, right? And that's the other thing that we need to deal with, right? Because how are we supposed to vet every scammer out there, right?
And there's a lot, and they prey on authors. They do. They
do, so that's another thing that's been frustrating to me. But now it's like you learn to recognize them. And a Google search that says, is such and such a company legit? Bam. No, they're not. They're But anyway, so these people, I'm like, oh my gosh, really? You want to turn my book into a screenplay? And they didn't even read the book. They read a synopsis that they asked for. And they came back to me with, would you be willing to change the story so that you highlight the romance? Because that's what the public wants. And I'm like, yeah, but I did not write a romance.
Right.
And no, I don't want to rewrite it. If I'm going to sell the movie rights, then that's a whole other thing, right? If I'm looking at selling the movie rights. But if you're telling me that I need to change my story around, basically republish the book and sell it to please this target audience that you've pigeonholed somewhere, it's like, I don't know that I want to do that, and I'm thinking my thoughts and my stories are representative of a certain percentage of the population of the world, I'm thinking.
Mhm.
And if that happens to be 1% of the population of the world, that's a million people. And I'm thinking,
Right?
you know, that's what I'm shooting for. I'm not shooting
A million
for world
people.
domination. It's like, yeah, I just want to reach the people who I represent, figuratively speaking, with my writing. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So that's when I've kind of been settling into that, instead of this state of high dudgeon, you know, it's like relaxing into, I'm gonna do what works for me,
Mhm.
what I can deliver comfortably, because if I gain one follower a month,
Right.
then that's perfectly good. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? It's like, and anyways, so but okay, I'm sorry. Um, so Warehouse Dreams came out last summer, right?
July 2020. Yep.
Oh my goodness. How did you go about the book launch? Was it
Well,
an online event or?
I honestly, I didn't even do one because the whole like online events was still so new. And I'd had feedback that people were like, yeah, don't bother. It's a waste of time. Now of course people have been trying this, they're learning it, they're kind of figuring out what works. And so River City Widows, we will have, I'll have an online book launch, and I'm hoping an in-person one. Hopefully, we'll see. Um,
Yeah, I don't have any in-person events in my calendar right now. Last year in October for Halloween, which was a blue moon as well,
I know.
that's when I launched my book, and it was an online, because my in-person event, even though we'd gone from, you know, we were going to have 80 people attend the in-person event, then the restrictions were like, no, it can't be that many. It can only be 25. And then 2 weeks before the event, they said, no, not even 25. The city closed down this thing. And it's like, I had sworn up and down that we were going to do the social
Oh,
distancing and everything. And so then it was strictly online. And, you know, it was my first event ever that was 100% virtual. And we did it at my mom's place in her living room. But I thought that it turned out pretty good. I mean, you
good.
know, and I'm thinking that this is the transformation that we're undergoing now.
Mhm.
And I think that we can totally rock it. So so I mean, I would love to help out if you wanted to do a virtual launch, or you know, I mean, I'm sure that you've got your plans, but maybe, I mean, for sure a book signing that we can do online,
Yeah, that would be awesome.
because it just doesn't hurt to have as much media out there, you know what I
Right.
mean? So
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So more to come, more to come. But yeah, I'll absolutely let you know, either way, or
okay,
both. Hopefully it's both.
hopefully it's both. I mean, right now in my calendar, the only in-person event I have, and I mean, it's looking good, but it's for September, FanX, and I mean, it's kind of like the San Diego Comic-Con,
Yeah.
but in Salt Lake City, and yeah, so
Like that day.
I'll be running away with the circus for 3 days. They canceled it last year, but so far it looks like it's going to be on, and especially with people getting vaccinated now more,
Mhm.
you know. What have you noticed in your line of work? I mean, are
It
people?
Yeah, it seems like it's getting better. The numbers are getting a lot better. So, and vaccines are becoming more and more available. You know, it was a little touch and go there in the beginning, but they're getting more available. It seems like, you know, we're kind of figuring out how to distribute them. The health, you know, the healthcare systems are coming up with their plan. The counties are coming up with their plan. So, more people that get vaccinated, the sooner we get back to normalcy.
The sooner that we can, yeah. Although I have to say that there's so many things that, so many possibilities that were illuminated by this whole pandemic, you know. This particular one is one that I'm kind of excited about, you know, that especially with people like you who are such good sports. But I really think that for independence, virtual is a big deal, and I'm excited for the possibilities that are opening up there, you know.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited for the networking opportunities. You know, we can, some of these conventions that were either out of our price range, you know, once we added on hotels and travel and everything else, we can still attend. It's going to be interesting to see how those conventions morph. I think most of the conventions are kind of looking at doing in person and these virtual events too. So, you know, there's more opportunities out there. But you also have to find that balance too of, you know, every time I'm like, oh, I can do that convention from my couch at home. That's time you're not writing.
That's time that you're not writing. Yep. Well, there's an expert for everything out there, you know, and I don't know if it was Stephen King or you know, that book of his on writing is just like a Bible to
It's
me.
phenomenal.
But what they tell you that you need to, that your most productive or optimal timing is 4 hours a day for your number one priority, right? So if your number one priority is writing, then you need to devote 4 hours a day to that, uninterrupted. And I was thinking, okay, well, you know, the way that my work day goes, it can be anywhere from 8 to 10 hours. And if I'm doing 4 hours of that day writing, then that would be, I mean, that's totally workable, right?
That is, yeah.
So
yeah.
so I don't know. I mean, it's like I try to take those little bits of wisdom that I find every day, and it's like, okay, well, I just gotta, like my daughter says, you gotta keep on keeping on, and I'm like, righty then.
Right. Yeah. Just keep every day, just keep trying.
Just keep trying. All right. Well, so besides at Waterbear Press, where we have, you know, where you'll be signing copies of Warehouse Dreams, and actually this month we have a 10% off coupon good through February 28th for
We
Warehouse
do.
Dreams, and you get a signed copy. What a deal. Made out to you, because it's not just that enjoy Theresa, you know. So so you need to hop on Waterbear Press and grab a copy of that book. But do you have social media profiles or a website where people can find you?
I do. So my website is theresaauthor.com. And that's Theresa, there's an H in it as well. And then my Facebook is Theresa Halvorsen Author. I'm on Twitter, Theresa H Author. And that's pretty much the platforms that I pay most attention to. So Facebook and Twitter. So trying to kind of refocus my attention onto where I spend my time. So come find me on Facebook.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, we are definitely gonna have a follow-up book signing, and we need to keep track of that widow's book. Tell us again the name of it.
River City Widows.
River City Widows. Oh my gosh,
Yep.
that sounds fantastic. That's an excellent name. I can't
Thank
wait to
you.
see your cover reveal on it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It's
Is
going
it
to be
gonna have
fun.
the Sacramento River on it?
I'm not going to tell you.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure having you. I'm so happy that you shared your time with us.
Thank you for
And
having me. It's been
and
fun.
we'll see you next time.